Hello, welcome to Premier Scene. I'm Claire Bueno. As no good reason, the story of Ralph Steadman screens here at the BFI London Film Festival. What was it about Steadman's work that inspired you to want to make a documentary about him?
Wow. I have always been a fan of Ralph, so from art college I've always known his work, from Fear and Loathing to Books After, and it was a fortuitous meeting that turned into a long relationship that worked beautifully. So we've enjoyed 15 years of working together in his studio, and it's been just for me a dream. It's been the most fantastic thing to happen.
How do you approach somebody and say, I want to capture your life's work? And I'm sure you didn't plan on it being 15 years.
No, I sent him a letter. Best way of approaching Ralph is send him a letter, and it was a long and slow, gentle thing. You know, at first we were working out what to do, but at the end it was every other week we'd spend time together and make this film. There was no plan to make a film in the first place, so it's only the last 5 years that we actually put it all together.
And it's obviously a very personal journey for Ralph, so have you been obviously conscious with what you're portraying with his story?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the reasons it took so long was that we had to just have stories and decide what was worth it, what wasn't, and we developed stories as we went along. Some stories stuck, some didn't, and this film is the result of that many years of just editing, to be perfectly honest.
And his work, obviously, he's got a certain look of his artwork. So have you tried to mirror, really, the look and feel of your documentary to complement his art?
Absolutely. The whole film has the look of Ralph's work in so much as it has rough edges like Ralph's work does. It's quite spontaneous, and one of the important things when we were doing the animation was to make sure that the work kept in character. So hopefully when you see the work in animation as form, you recognise it as Ralph's work. And to be perfectly honest, as being such a fan of Ralph's, it was my intention to keep it as close to Ralph's work as I possibly could.
The beautiful thing about creating a documentary is you're capturing history, aren't you?
Absolutely capturing history. In fact, when we started out, we didn't know we were making a film. Charlie, the director, would just head off to Ralph's studio, and we were kind of like, where's Charlie? Where's the director gone today? He'd switch his phone off, head off to the studio, and that was started 15 years ago. And about 5 years ago, I said, hang on a sec, Charlie, you've been absent a lot. You know, what have you been up to? You've spent a hell of a lot of money, hell of a lot of your time. You know, what are you doing here? And so I suppose over the last 5 years, we have collected all that footage together and hopefully created a fantastic film about Ralph Steadman and his work.
Is it interesting for you as documentarians and following his life? You have a certain kind of story thread that you start with, maybe his career, and then do you find that during the course of collating all this information that you've captured that there's actually other stories that are interwoven into it?
It's interesting actually, because how we made the film absolutely was as observers. So we didn't try and shape what happened. The director Charlie literally used to pitch up at Ralph Steadman's studio in Kent and see what unfolded, and he really just did do that over a number of years, and in doing that, gentle observation actually was how we managed to really get to the heart of Ralph and his art. There is untold amounts of footage that of course are not in the film, and you know, some days worked, some days didn't. And along the journey, of course, we met all the people that Ralph collaborates with Terry Gillingham, with Richard E. Grant, Will Self, who actually isn't in the film but will be in the DVD. Untold people that he's reached with and worked with. So in a way, the craft was putting all those nuggets together, and I have to say that our editor Joby G, phenomenal, because working with a director producer team, husband and wife team, not easy, and secondly, we set out on the film, we didn't know we were making a film. We were just enjoying watching Ralph Steadman work. And so he had quite a task. knitting it all together and stretching it out and giving it a linear emotional journey. And then on top of that, we have the phenomenal work with the musicians who, it was a really beautiful experience. You know, we ring people like Slash, who's worked with Ralph, and say, Slash, I've got this great bit. I'm going to send you the visual section, see what you can do for us. 3 days later, phenomenal piece of guitar, you know? And it happened with all the musicians, all the way throughout. You would contact them and send them the visual chapter. They'd create a beautiful piece of music. So the whole process was put together very organically and creatively with just what fitted.
Congratulations on a documentary about your life.
Imagine that. Imagine it, because what have I done? That's what I want to know.
Well, you're a creative genius.
No, that can't be so. That's a turn of phrase. You're just making it up. You're flattering me, aren't you?
No, but you're an artist that works passionately.
I work hard, you know, but I don't know whether I can say I'm someone who just does that and it all works. But I do start with a white sheet of paper. I start with that confronted as something that challenges you. And I can't bear the idea of penciling in first before I go into the final thing. It has to be directly in ink or paint. Whatever it goes down there goes down by accident. So do you know, most of my drawings are accidents.
And we're talking about white pieces of paper. There was a letter that was sent to you from Charlie with a request to interview you, and here we are. What kind of relationship have you built up over the years of working together?
He arrived 15 years ago. Can I come and see you? Yes, okay, that's okay. He came, I want to film you. Okay, do that. You say, well, within hours, or let's say within months actually, he'd become a fly on the wall. You see, he was working like a fly on the wall. He was doing exactly that, and first thing I did was go out and buy a fly swat.
But it wasn't going to work. You needed a spray.
I missed him. You're right. And I thought about something like that. That would have been clever. Buy a spray. I didn't think of that. I thought it'd be practical and use something, you know, one of those plastic jobs.
And what's your experience been? What you've taken? What have you taken away with you from being a part of this documentary?
It's nice to have someone. I mean, he was. I was able to get on with what I did without and not worry about him, and you just let him get on with his. I didn't know what camera he was using, which one he was changing to, what he was doing. That all became kind of interesting, but it wasn't necessarily the way I would have sort of gone about it. But he goes about it that way, and it's amazing. Charlie's a genius. I'm just some twit that makes lines and scribble like that, you know. Hey.